Hello friends, October the 26th, and the energy is heating up further. Two more huge flares, one an X-class, one an M9.5, just were unleashed this morning. Here you see the live chart. That was 2 days ago, the X3.3, now we have an M9.5 and an X1.9. These are all enormous blasts. Here you see the sunspots where they came from, which just are now rotating towards directly facing Earth in the next week or so. Here you see it in the bigger picture, full picture. That was where the flare 2 days ago was coming from, and this is the one from 2 days, still not fully facing Earth. What's called a lopsided CME, coronal mass ejection, was released by the sun early morning when this happened, with these two solar flares here on the side of the sun came out. Consider the sun is small here in this picture, as big as this little white circle. This is blanked out in front of the camera, so yes, the sun is naturally too bright, so they can photograph the rest. And interesting, because it's basically vacuum out there. It's not like on Earth. In Earth, when you blank out the sun, naturally you still have all the light in the atmosphere caught by all the many atoms. Out there the space is empty, so there's no atoms which are catching the light, so you still have complete darkness around. That's kind of the fascination of outer space. And also think that the sun, that's the size of the sun, and how fast these gases, these plasmas, are ejected from the sun. See, this is within whatever 7-8 hours. 10 to 15 times the diameter of the sun. This is the speed these outbursts of charged protons are leaving from the sun's body. Charged protons means these are hydrogen atoms, which then, when they usually 3 days or so later arrive at the Earth, they are interacting with the magnetic field and then causing all these wonderful auroras, which we had twice superstorms already this year, on May the 10th, 12th around, after multiple X-flares in a row. Every day there was pretty much one, and there was this other severe geomagnetic storm we just had on October the 10th, actually exactly 5 months apart, which is interesting. The number 5 comes in. Anyway, so let's get here to what I really want to talk about. Actually, I think I will just give you a quick preview here, and then make another video with the details. So I want to keep this one short. Okay, so the big event naturally is the Mars-Pluto opposition, which happens, to be exact, on Sunday morning, November the 3rd. And with Mars entering Leo just a few hours later, late at night here in Eastern time, 11:09. So that's 2 days prior the moment when usually one would have been given the results. Speaking of results, I guess it's pretty obvious. Everybody kind of senses it, knows it. There will be a very messed up situation again, similar or worse than it was 4 years ago. So with great certainty one can say there will be no clear winner at the end of the day. It will likely take weeks, months. And I had a peek at the inauguration chart. This is always a really good way to see ahead what is coming. And so that would be the day, that is the day where it's planned for the new president to be inaugurated, put in power. So this is an important chart. Very powerful moment that is. Now if we look at this chart, it is not a nice chart at all. So if anybody gets inaugurated on that day, let's just keep it at this point, at this statement. If anybody gets inaugurated on this day, it won't be favorable. It is a moment of absolute disaster, this chart, to be honest. Mars retrograde still here at the root of the chart in a 90-degree angle with the black moon and the moon in opposition to Chiron and Eris and Hygeia. This is a real challenge, a great challenge in this chart. What it actually shows is that Mars is forced to go through a deep renewal. I mean, that's what the basic thought of retrograde periods anyway is. Mars moves only about once every 2 years or so through a 11-week period of moving backwards. That's actually when Earth is catching up on Mars again. That's really how you have to imagine it. The Sun is at the center, Mars is out there, the Sun is, Earth is moving in between, and Earth is moving naturally faster than Mars. So after 2 years, the Earth is again in between Mars and the Sun, which also means that during Mars retrogrades, and a big one is coming up, the next one is starting on December the 6th, which I pointed out in multiple ways to be a super important day again. One to mark, like November the 19th, when Pluto will enter Aquarius for good. Just keep watching these dates and just be aware what changes in your energy and in the energy of the world around you. Like with the solar flares, when big solar flares come in, we are all fired up. I guess we all feel that more and more as the geomagnetic field weakens. We become more perceptible for these collective, not collective, but interstellar, that's the word I look for, interstellar influences and energies. So Mars at the root here, retrograde, this is a reinvention of Mars, literally, and Mars is forced into that, because all the shadows are revealed. The moon and the black moon together, it's actually in a personal chart quite a favorable occurrence, as it shows that this person is able to see the light and the dark both. It's coming in a package, and it's easy to see that yes, there is this polarity, and the shadow is not really just difficult and dark. It is also, if we take the invitation, if we have the courage, and courage is all it's really needed to overcome fear and dive into it regardless, and look at what is wrong, and in that sense healing is found, which is really beautifully here shown in Chiron in the 12th house with Neptune and the node here at the 12th house cusp. So yes, if someone gets inaugurated, most likely it will be the wrong person. This chart already shows it. If anybody, then the wrong person, which is totally fine. Why? Because this is the curveball which will awaken so many more. It's actually already happening. I mean, just look at the bizarre and outrageous reporting on what is happening on this planet. It gets ever more polarized. That means, I mean, in earlier days, good journalists were impartial. Like a good teacher would not reveal his political affiliation, but just really be neutral, because that is really the only place to come from to be believable, to at least pay attention, because you want to really hear the story from someone who sees both sides. So this is really the energy which is rooted in this inauguration chart, this ability to really bring out those shadows and look at it in an impartial way, and that is what will happen. You see, let me go back to another chart. Here on the side, by the way, you have the New World chart, the one of July 4, 1776, can I say it? The Declaration of Independence. Very, very powerful moment that was in history. A super powerful chart, as we all know. I mean, that is what the United States of America has been living through, expressing through the last 250 years soon to come, which in a nation's age is just puberty has been reached. That's really how we have to see it. We just coming to a maturation. This chart is incredibly potent, difficult at the same time. I have talked about it earlier. There's a couple other episodes. Let's just show you quickly. If you're curious, you can go back to learn a bit more of what I have said about the situation down south where I live. That was from September. You find these in my archive. If you go to my main channel, you will find that one and this other one, where I was laying out, based on the progress chart of that nation, what we can expect. Anyway, just wanted to throw this in for those of you who are interested to go a little deeper. So let me see, I have here something playing in the background, that now commercial is coming on, I guess. Yes, let's skip that. By the way, I want to say I have okay, this is now a new one. I like these calm whale musical backgrounds. I hope I get through here with YouTube, not to infringe on any whatever, but I mean, I just thought it would create a little ambience. Anyway, that's this. Now, okay, this chart has a Sagittarius rising for the United States, which I think makes total sense. I mean, it's easier to see from the outside. It's always like that. I grew up in Europe, and everything which comes from the new continent, the new world, literally that's how we see, as Europeans, most particularly the Americas, or the United States of America in particular. So everything is big. Sagittarius, bigger, has to be the biggest, and Texas is probably the best example for that. But it is a great confidence, naturally, particularly if a Sun-Jupiter conjunction with Venus here, really a beautiful big conjunction in Cancer, very emotional, very warm-hearted. But yes, there's a little bit of that, well, what nice word should I use? A little bit too blown up, feeling very important, which is totally fine as long as it's done with a certain kind of humor. And awareness. Awareness is the key. I mean, if we do something consciously with observing ourselves doing it and not being locked into the doing and in the emotion, but really allowing it to play itself out, then the whole situation is already transformed. That's literally the key here. So another one which is really harsh is that Venus-Saturn conjunction here in this inauguration chart. And well, I could go on. There's many more difficulties here hiding. Also Mercury, which I didn't really include yet, but you see Mercury makes another square. Actually, this is a grand square together with Pallas. Beautiful, actually. This is the one I should have included to start with. It is a grand square with Mercury and Pallas, just really tuning in and getting getting the full picture. So it is also showing that this is still an anticipation of understanding, of coming to terms with all that difficult energy and that need to send Mars being the male power which puts its foot down in this world. In a way, it symbolizes the ruling force, as I guess you could say. It is also based on that whole concept in our present society that the male dominates the female. That's the patriarchal approach, which naturally the governments are still representatives of. They have not yet really gone into the so-called emancipation of genders. There is still this real, I say it and you do it mentality, which Mars is definitely very much potentially representing. And yes, Aries, for those of you who are new to Aries, that's the planet which dethroned Pluto, because that was discovered in 2003 around, and was considered bigger than Pluto. And then they had to go over the books. Shall we now include Aries as the planet 10? But they already knew there were likely many more objects they hadn't found yet which were about that size, so it would have been really getting a little bit out of hand. We would have 20 or 30 planets in the end. So they drew the line. Aries was the cause. Aries is the one which throws in the golden apple of discord, says something is wrong here, just have a closer look, and kind of opens the fronts, triggers the conflict in a way that is Aries' contribution, you could say. And as Aries is here in this stellium with Chiron, the wounded healer, and Hygeia, which is all about healing and well-being. So you already see the theme here, and in the sign of Aries, this is a renewal, a big renewal which is taking place, and it is coming through deep insights into the psyche of this manifestation, which in that sense would be the 4-year presidency of whomever it will be who is inaugurated. It really is the base chart. It shows where it's going, so it's really getting into the focusing on the deep dark inside of the belly, 12th house, the unconscious, the collective, all that which you cannot really account for in a normal mundane way, something from out there or whatever, from deep down, all these energies of this Piscean, and then it's intercepted that even more so. It is really locked in at first and has to be released. Same here with that moon and black moon. Vertex helps big time. This is the higher dimensional descendant, to put it simple, versus this is a kind of a material way of reaching out and connecting with the world around us, very tangible, and you see whom you're facing, versus vertex is more that higher dimensional aim of our soul to meet something greater, something we can learn from, something which inspires us, which opens really to more overlooking perspective in that sense. That is very helpful. And what further helps is also that you see, in the base chart, there is Libra in the 10th house. So all these planets here, Moon, Vertex, Black Moon, are in the 12th house. Which means, in the 10th house, which means it's a very public affair, this unveiling of the truth of what has been going on in the deeper layers of this rotten reality, which it really is. So all that is coming out, it's very clear. So yes, I would even, okay, let me put it that way. I would freely give away the opportunity to be sworn in on that day, on that 20th of January 2025. So that's pretty clear. So the one who's losing will actually be happy that he lost. Okay, now we're getting into some interesting territory. That's exactly what the charts show, actually. So yes, there will be a first real outrage, a big deep upset, rage, and uncontrolled energy in many ways with that Mars-Pluto opposition, which we have. Let me again find it. I keep losing it. I guess it's here. Yeah, here is it. Mars-Pluto opposition of November the 1st. That's Sunday night, just 1 day and a half before the official voting is taking place. So yes, it's a volcanic energy. It's boiling, and it's highly emotional, particularly with Mars in Cancer. There's deep investments in the well-being of who we are, of our families, of our friends. Mars in Cancer cares deeply. However, then I'm you see, this is early morning on Sunday in Eastern time, and then in the night, at the end of the day, Mars enters Leo. Okay, this is big. This is really big. Mars in Leo, that's a lord of valor, of courage, of having the guts to put down the foot in the right place. Mars will turn retrograde at 7 degrees something on the north node of the United States chart on December the 6th. And that is really the period between December the 6th and I guess it's sometime in late February. I keep forgetting the date. It doesn't really matter. It is that period where Mars is undergoing a deep renovation. That's what the retrograde planet always means. And particularly with Mars, there's something really special with Mars in that sense, that Mars, when in its retrograde mode, which truly is because Earth is taking over, as I already shared, I guess. So Earth is moving between Sun and Mars, taking Mars over. For that reason, Mars appears to go backward, but Mars is closest to Earth during its retrograde, which is true in general, but with Mars it's most obvious. It becomes the big red planet in the sky, which can be seen for months on end around midnight. It's a dominant force, always. So these Mars retrograde periods are always very impactful in many ways, personal and collective. If you are having the access to it, you can find it if you have the astrological software, when Mars was retrograde. Compare it also with what happened during those times in your life. And that's how we learn, by observation and comparing. So anyway, Mars enters Leo on that day, Sunday night. Now, as I laid out in my last recording of yesterday, a couple days ago, where I showed the powering up, which has just started with that big flare, and now as we know, 2 more have happened. But what I want to say is, this is the last aspect Pluto makes with any other major planet before entering Aquarius. Mars is the final opponent, if you want to say, the final one which receives Pluto's charge. That is the other way of seeing it, because it goes both ways. They're kind of like intimately meeting their frequencies and intermingling them and inspiring each other. Most of all, naturally, the planet which moves faster is the one which harvests from the planet which is slower. Also, the planet farther away is then transformed back down to a more tangible physical level. That's another way to see it. So anyway, this in itself, that Mars is turning retrograde on December 6th and on the north node of the nation, shows, okay, this is a kick in the butt. Now get going. And that's exactly what will happen. It will really bring this corrupt situation we have on our planet, and particularly in that location, it will bring it to light. Many people will just follow and wake up and see it for the first time as it is, and this is necessary. It has to become a grassroots movement. It already is, but it has to gain such a power, such a tsunami-like force, which really rolls over the old system and pushes it out. That is what I see coming, and the good news is it won't be that long. It will take probably into March. Why I say that, I just jump ahead a little bit. This is the chart I want to show you. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, this is now a little bit future music, just to give you an outlook that it's worth going through this eye of the needle, which it will be. It will be difficult, no question. It will be not a Sunday morning walk those next 4 months, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Look at this chart. This is when Venus enters Aries. That's a big moment. Now, Venus is the other really big planet, important planet in terms of manifestation in the real world. Mars and Venus naturally are the 2 neighboring planets of us. And this, the female and the male principle meeting and mating, creating offspring, creating physical forms out of imagination, out of just being playful and at the same time focused. It's the 2 planets which are most enjoyable. I mean, Venus has to do with all things beautiful, period. It is the goddess of beauty and splendor and abundance. And Mars naturally is the war god, the male principle of standing up for what is right and opposing whatever is not in good, and really bring in this willpower to form reality. So then with Venus entering Aries, and this happens just hours before Jupiter moves back to direct motion. This is a rare synchronicity again, and this is the chart for the moment Venus enters Aries. Still will be an evening star. Already is if you go out after dinner. Now this is the phase of when Venus really showers us with her energy, when everybody can see it. I mean, sure, we are all living more or less in light polluted areas, at least many of us, so it's a little more challenging, but you just look up in the western sky around shortly after sunset, an hour or two after sunset, and you see the bright glowing Venus. Venus is evening star in its most powerful phase. It will be 45 degrees ahead of the sun here. So this is Venus at its best, and Venus in its evening star mode is all about the collective, all about giving back, creating the harmony in a greater way, versus as a morning star it is more in Taurus, which means first I have to build my personal experience, enjoy everything, and have that abundance in myself, within my smaller field. In Libra then we bring this out to the world and include others too. Very, very important for Venus. And naturally the new beginning, Aries here at the North Node, together with Neptune, just coming out of this conjunction here, being deeply inspired, and also understanding the darkness we are still emerging from. As if you overlay the 64 hexagrams, this is hexagram 36, darkening of the light, which really is the deepest pit before the new beginning. That's how you could see it, when everything is out of balance, wrong, corrupt. That is what the this hexagram in the Chinese Book of Changes is all about. Those of you who have a book, please read it. So it is a complete renewal, as here is then hexagram 25. Already the node is still in darkening of the light. The cutoff point is 2815. However, the midnight point, the root of this chart, is already in the new energy in hexagram 25. Innocence, new beginnings. It is that thunder which wakes everything up from deep within and sets a new cycle in motion. Very, very powerful. This chart is here with Jupiter right at the 7th house cusp. I can't really stop being amazed of the beauty of this chart, and then how it interlocks with what's going on right now. Keep this 12th degree of Gemini and Sagittarius in your eyes, particularly the 12th degree where Jupiter is. Just to show you this. I think I was guided to look at this chart because this was the energy impact of today. That is for Philadelphia today. The peak of this big X19 solar flare had that degree pretty close to where Jupiter will station in early February 1116. You see this theme here. The cosmos has a theme, and the 12th degree of Gemini is liberation from ghosts of the past. You can't make that stuff up. Let me just show you. This is my book, which meanwhile has fallen apart, but the link is underneath. It's an amazing way of decoding the zodiac. So this is the image that medium Elsie Wheeler was receiving when she pulled that card, which she didn't know which degree it would be about. It's just she picked a little piece of paper without looking what is written on it, and then received that image. That's how it was performed, and it was random. That means yeah, you get a picture. It was not in a sequence, and still the book in itself shows an amazing structure. It's definitely one of the jewels which enlarge, expand our understanding of astrology in a very, very wonderful way. Anyway, liberation from ghosts of the past. That will be the theme of Jupiter's direct motion, which, just as I say, will start within an hour or so of this. Actually, I will give you the exact number, because it really is important. See, 9:40 a.m. Universal Time, and that is 5 hours earlier here. That would be 3 hours and 40 minutes a.m. So you see, less than an hour. Less than an hour later, Jupiter moves direct. Just with Venus here in the very, very first minutes of Aries. This is an extremely auspicious chart. And the North Node naturally here, getting really to the root of what this projection is, this imaginarium, this cinema we're in. That's all Neptunian words. It's understanding that nothing is really real unless you directly experience it in the moment, present with all your senses. That is the only way we can tell something is real. So that's kind of the direction we are moving towards, which is all about discernment. I guess that's really the wonderful outcome of what is going on right now. The greater the confusion, the greater the bizarre and outrageous reporting, the more people start scratching their head. There's little cracks appearing on the surface of their world view, and this is enough. And once that process starts, then it is bringing you to the right place where you start seeing more and more, because then you become curious, then you see more things which are out of balance, and you start adding up the dots. So this is a beautiful chart with this Taurus moon conjunct Hygeia. This is really about new beginning, nurturing. Yes, I could go on and on about this chart alone. I won't do that. It was really just meant to give you an outlook. But let's now zoom back, and yeah, I will stop right here and do the second recording on the details as we go. Thank you, and see you again.